All right, so hey everybody. So today we're going to be talking about how to make a study on Lichess. And why would you want to do this? Because if you want to bring your chess to the next level, you need to start recording your games, analyzing those games, and learning to invite others to contribute to your games by like other players that you know, other mentors, teachers, friends, whoever, to help create comments in your games and kind of just really think about your moves more critically. And you can also think about the different behaviors you have. All right, so let's dive right into it. So we're on Lichess. We're going to go under Learn and click Study. Here you have a bunch of public studies that are available. You're welcome to search whatever you would like. Like if you want to study the London system, you could type it in and see what someone else has already made. You might see their own games or maybe lines from other masters that they were analyzing. You can totally do that and just create studies that way. Or if you want to make one of your own, you can use this plus sign here. And if you ever want to just go to your own studies, you can just click My Studies and it'll show up. So actually, I'll do that first. I'm going to click My Studies because it'll show you these are studies that I've made on Lichess. And most of these I use as teaching tools, but as I use it more and more, I'm going to start incorporating my own games into the studies so that I can look back at them later. So we're going to click the plus sign to create a new study. First, it's going to ask us to name it. You can name it whatever you like. You can be like, I'm studying openings. So you can write openings or however you like. You can make the visibility public so anyone on Lichess can find it, or you can make it invite only. I tend to make it invite only. That's just kind of personal preference. I like to keep my secrets of chess to myself unless I choose to share it with others. And you could also do that like if you're preparing for tournaments, you might want to keep it invite only because that way no one can really see what you're trying to prepare. So you can have computer analysis as you normally would in chess analysis, but you can make it so contributors are able to use analysis or everyone or only you. I tend to make computer analysis only available to me because as an instructor, when I'm sharing a study with someone else that I'm teaching, I don't want them to rely on the chess analysis tool. So I make it so only I'm able to see it. Okay. And that's totally up to you if you want to make it so contributors can do it too, because maybe you're actually a student and you're working with an instructor. Maybe it's more helpful if you both use it, or maybe just they use it, however you would like to set it up. And you can have the chat available on the left-hand side, which is a cool feature to have, so people can type things in even if you're not both using the study at the same time. And you can check on it later. So if you're ready to start, you can start it. And it'll give you a chance to, like, of course, you can create a name for each chapter, and then you can set up the board how you would like the starting position to be. So if you just want to start from the beginning of the game and that you're studying openings, you can typically just leave this alone. But if you were like studying the mid game or the end game and you weren't bringing in a game you were analyzing, you could like set the position however you like. So for example, I could just like take pieces off the board. This is really random from right now. I'm just moving stuff around. Let's say I wanted to start here and study from this position, right? And I could just start right here if I wanted to. And you can also make sure depending if it's black to play or white to play. All right. And if you're all happy with that, you can create the chapter. And on the left-hand side, I just want to bring you over there for a moment because you can add multiple chapters within the study. So remember, we called this one openings. We can make different chapters for different openings. Like I could have named this chapter 1. I might as well do that now. The London system. As you see, I've done this before. And then if I want to make a new chapter, I could say Pirc defense. And you can see that it carried over the work I did before, but I could always reset it. I can reset to the starting position and then create another chapter. And you can go down the line depending on which openings you want to study. And from here, we have the analysis board where we can make moves. We can draw arrows. And to draw an arrow, by the way, you right-click and you hold it. You hold the arrow to where you want to go and you let go. If you want to create a circle, you can right-click. I think there's a way you can use other colors by like holding shift. Yeah, if you hold shift and click, it turns red. I guess people have different reasons for using different colors. I typically just use green and I circle and I draw lines when needed. So you can see like there's like an analysis tool on the top right. If you turn that on, it'll give you suggestions from what the computer says are like the best moves. I recommend not relying too heavily on this, but if you were you're like stumped or you're trying to analyze and see what the best moves are, definitely use it. Just I wouldn't always start with it. Like don't make that like your crutch. Don't always make it your go-to. Try to figure it out for yourself what you could do and then see what the computer says. But also take it with a grain of salt because the computer makes computer moves, not human moves. So it's a little bit more difficult to think, okay, I can work like a computer does. Not as realistic, but sometimes it can be more realistic depending on the position, but you'll get the hang of it. Anyways, at the bottom right here, we have like a list of options that white typically uses, and it'll tell you like these bars, like white usually won 30% of the time, or black won 19% of the time with this move, or it was like a draw 50% of the time. And this position was played 120,000 times, and I think this is specific to Lichess, not all games. So if you wanted to click it, you can play through like these moves and tell, okay, when this move was played, white won 30% of the time, black won 19% of the time. I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. It's kind of just nice to know. It also allows you to kind of look for moves that are not as often played if you want to kind of deviate a little bit from the norm. But if you scroll down, also it'll tell you like top games of players. I believe it's still on Lichess that have been played from these positions. Like we got Caruana and Magnus Carlsen playing against each other from this position, and you see they have these ridiculous ratings. And this you can click this and it'll show you a game that they played, and it went to a draw in 2019. But we're not going to get into that. We want you to practice like creating studies. So what I think is important for you is that if you're actually analyzing games, I think you might use this more often. You want to go to your profile, find a game that you want to analyze. Let's just say this game here. You can look at the right and you have the analysis tool. You can click analysis board. Scroll down. And well, one, you can request a computer analysis to give you a deep analysis of your game. But if you click these 3 lines here and scroll up again, you'll see the study button here. Okay, you click study, and if you've already created a study, you can add it to one of your studies, or you can create a brand new one. And we're going to assume you already made a study. So let's say I'm going to put this in, let's say, chess counselor study. All right, and it added itself as a chapter. Oops, I'm getting a call. It added itself as a chapter within my chess counselor study plan. And this entire game is now in this study. All right. And this is all the notation of all the moves made. And I still have the analysis tool, the Stockfish analysis tool up, and it's giving suggestions here. Anyways, the cool features that I wanted to talk about was that you can add members. So it can be kind of tedious to do all this by yourself. And it can be a little boring too, just doing this over and over again, but you want to develop some kind of habit. But it's more fun to do things as a community, do things together. So you can add members. So let's say I wanted to add Jayla95. And definitely only add people who know that you're going to add them. Don't catch people by surprise. I can add her as a contributor. Or it's like right now it has her as just an observer, so I think she can see it, but she can't do anything. She can't move the pieces or anything. But if I added her as a contributor, now she can manipulate the pieces just like I can. All right, and she can also make notes. So let's say we're just going to make random moves here. And if I clicked one of my moves, right-click it, and it gives you the option to delete the move. And if it's a game you play, there's really no reason to delete the actual moves. But this important tool here is leaving comments. Now, when you leave comments, you can leave a comment for each move, and you can do things like say why the move was played. You can say it was just a main line move, or I played this move to control the center. And I recommend getting like as specific as you can about what you felt or what you were thinking, what the idea was. Not for every single move, but usually the moves that are a little bit more noteworthy, or maybe you were confused by, or just moves you don't typically play. You don't have to do that comment for every single thing. But the idea is to get the habit of like figuring out why you're doing what you're doing and acknowledging what you're doing well, acknowledging what you're doing wrong, and making adjustments accordingly. And you use the computer as like a guide to help you figure out, okay, maybe I should have done this. But if you understand what the computer's saying, then maybe you can incorporate that into your game. All right. So my idea is really to learn the idea of the position. So I like write down my ideas, what I was thinking. My weakness typically is I overthink things. So when I go through my games, I go through the moves and I'm like, okay, what was I thinking here? And if I write down what I was thinking, I can also tend to notice that I was thinking too much, and I was worried about things that had nothing to do with the position at all. I should have been focused entirely on something else. And you can notice that when you write these things down. All right. So that's how to like create a study, and especially what I think you're going to use most often is bringing a game into your study and adding contributors. I think that's the most useful thing and is most interesting to do. But you can also go to the moves you've actually played and you can deviate from them and like play around with it. Like, so this is what actually played, and this is what white played. But what if I had moved my knight here first? And you can look at that, and you'll see the computer like added this move in like a smaller font, I suppose. So your actual moves are right here, but then it added this as a different line. And you can look at it for a moment. You can draw arrows, and you can think about it. You can talk to your contributors about it, however you want to do it. But that's just a nice little feature there. So you don't have to just stick to what was actually played. You can look at different lines that could have happened. Like I can just play through here. Right now, just being random, and we can take a look at this, and you can make comments about it, just like you would with your regular moves as well. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can do, but I just wanted to kind of give this brief introduction to it. My main goal is for you to just practice using it, especially pull out games, like especially the ones that you've lost, right? Like get a collection of games that you've lost and try to understand why and what happened, and like write down what you were feeling, what you experienced, and like what you want to improve on, and then you can always come back to it later and look at it. Okay, so that's the intro to studies with Lichess. If you have any questions, please leave a comment or send me an email. Thanks. Bye.